Hi everyone, Ravi this side. Welcome to Engineering Data. Today in this video, we are going to discuss about profile annotation in Spring Boot. So we are going to discuss what is profile annotation, why we are using it, and how we can use it, and what are its disadvantage and advantage, its working, everything we are going to discuss in this video. So we are going to discuss all of the things related to the profile annotation. Now, before going to discuss that, let me try to brief you about profile. So what is profile? Before going to discuss about profile, let me give you a development scenario. So let's say you have developed an application and you want to release your application in 3 different environments like dev, QA and production. Now, how you can do those things? So there are the ways how you can do those things. So if you wanted to maintain 3 different environments for your application, you have to create 3 different application.properties file where you can put your details of those 3 different environments. Like in the dev environments, you put the credential related to the dev, like database credentials that you are going to use in the dev environment. The similar way, when you are going to use the QA environment, you will put all the details related to the QA in your application.properties file of QA. Similarly, if you are going to use the production environment, you will put all the details related to your application in the application.properties file of production. Right? So if you want to scale your application to 3 different environments, you want to deploy your application, release your application in different environments. So for that, you have to create different application properties file related to the particular environment so that you can put all the details of that particular environment in that properties file. Okay. Now this is the way how you can create your application through Spring Boot, and this is the way how you can release or deploy your application through different environments. Now, if you want to select that one environment at a time, how you can select it out? There comes the picture of profile. So there is a configuration like it is like this is string.profile.active. So this configuration will try to give you which profile you want to pick. Okay, so there is a configuration string.profile.active. In that configuration, you have to provide the value as either dev, QA or production, whichever environment you want to select as an active. And once you will select this out, it will try to select that particular properties file. It will try to load all those details in that particular properties file, and your application will run according to that. So this is where the profile comes into the picture to select the particular profile of your application, either dev, QA or production. So those things we have discussed in 2 different videos on my channel. I will provide the link of those videos in the video's description. Now we are going to discuss about profile annotation in this video. Okay, so this profile annotation does the same thing. It will also help you to select the particular application.properties file and try to load all the details in that particular properties file so that you can try to deploy or try to active your particular string application like dev application or QA application or production application. So this profile annotation does the same things that we have discussed in these 2 videos, but how the profile annotation works, that is what we are going to discuss here. So this is the background. Now let me try to go to the next slide and discuss about profile annotation. So profile annotation in Spring Boot is a mechanism to enable or disable beans based on the active profiles. Okay, so whatever profile is active, it will create the bean for that particular profile only and disables creating the bean for the other profiles so that the particular active profile is activated and its username, like its configuration are loaded, right? So this is what profile annotation do. It will enable or disable beans based on the active profiles. Okay. This feature is particularly useful for managing different configuration for various environments, such as development, testing, and production environment. So how we are going to use @profile annotation and how we'll try to select those different environments, I will try to show you through the practical implementation of this. Now coming to the next slide, here are the advantages of using @profile annotation. So environment specific configuration. This @profile annotation allows different configuration for different environments, improving maintainability and flexibility. Coming to the second point is separation of concern. Clearly separates configuration, making the application easier to manage and understand. Okay. The third one is simplifies deployment. Enables easy switching between the environments without changing the code base. So which environment you want to deploy, you have to just select that particular active profile and then that will deploy the particular application in that particular environment. Now the fourth one is enhanced testing. This facilitates testing by allowing a specific test configuration to be activated. So let's say you have your application local or your local, okay? So you have developed an application locally, you are running that application. Now you want to test your application in different environment locally. So you can directly select that particular active profile so that the database or everything related to that particular active profile will be loaded at the time and you can debug or you can try to test out your application. How you can do that, I will try to show you those things as well. So these are the 4 advantages that I have listed out here for the @profile annotation. Now let me try to come out of it and try to create a application here. So just I'm using Intel Easy Ultimate version. So what I can do is I can directly create the Spring Boot application here itself. If you're not using that, what you can do is you can go to the start.spring.io website. There itself it will open the same page and you can follow the process that I'm going to follow here and create your application. Once your application is created, it will you can download that in the zip file and then you can unzip that file locally and open up in the IDE that you are using. Okay, so here let me try to provide the application name. So let's say it is profile annotation in Spring Boot. Okay, select the my one. Next, here I'm going to select the Spring Web, and if you want to use, you can use the Lombok as well. Just create it, open it in a new tab. Okay, just wait for a few seconds. It will try to load our application and download the dependency that we have added and do the necessary configuration so that we can start our development. So just wait for a few seconds. It will do all those things and then after that we can start doing our development here. Okay, so just come up here. So you can see that our application is ready and so we can start doing our development. So what I'm going to do is, if you want to manage your application throughout different environments, what you have to do is, the first thing that you have to do is you have to create the different application properties files so that you can put the information related to those different environments in those properties files. So let me try to create those things here. So just go to the new file and let's say application-dev.properties. Okay. So make sure your application like spellings are correct so that it will be good for us. Otherwise it will not load this properties file for this file that you are creating. Okay, so make sure it is correct. So you can see that we have created one file which is application-dev.properties file. Make sure you are using the same convention. Like if you wanted to create the properties file for dev, just append the string like -dev and then properties. Similarly, let me try to create the other profiles here, or application properties file for the other profiles like QA and production. Okay, now create for production here. Okay, so we have created the 3 different profiles here, or 3 different application properties file. Okay, now what I wanted to do is, for this 3 different properties file that we have created, the basic work is you have to keep your database related things or others URLs that you are using for this different environments. You have to keep those things here as a configuration, right? So let's say for the dev environment, we are using the username and password for the database connectivity as a dev. For production, we are using as production, and for QA, we are using as QA. So those things you have to list out here in application.properties file. So let me try to do those things. So let's say for dev, the database connectivity username and password is something like this: user.name equal to, let's say, dev user, something like that. And let me try to create the other things as well, like user.password, something like password dev. And let's say we are also going to keep a configuration for environment as well. So which environment we are in, I'm just going to create a configuration for that as well. So let's say it is env.name, and let me try to keep this as a dev environment. Okay, so these 3 configuration I did in the dev application.properties file. The same way I'm going to provide this configuration in the prod and QA properties file as well. Now you have to change the name here. So let's say for the prod properties file, let's say the DB name and password would be something like prod user, and password prod would be the password, and the environment would be prod environment. I'm just trying to give you a scenario, like when you are going to create your application in the application.properties file. So what you have to keep is, you have to keep all the database connectivity things, network things, everything you have to keep here in the application.properties file. But when you are going to scale your application to different environments, when you are going to release your application through across the different environments, what you have to do is you have to separate those credentials in like you have different credentials for dev, production, and QA for, let's say, database connectivity. So those things you have to keep here in the application.properties file for that particular environment. That is what I'm doing here. Okay, now coming to the QA, let's say it is QA and QA user, and here it is password QA, and the environment is QA environment. This is a sample example. Okay, now we keep those details here. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to create 3 different classes and try to show you how you can use @profile annotation to pick the active profile and try to log something, okay, so that you can see the details. So let's say I'm going to create a prod class, let's say something like, you can also, let's say, rename it like prod details. And the other classes would be like QA details, and let's say it is QA details, and dev details. So these three classes I have created. Now what I'm going to do is let me try to go to the dev first. Just try to annotate this with @ let's say component and profile. Now here you have to provide the profile name. So let's say I'm just going to provide the name as dev. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create 3 different variables to catch the value of these 3 configuration that we did, like user.name, password and the environment name in these classes. Okay, so let's say I'm going to use the @value annotation, and here you have to provide this. Go to the application properties file. Let's say user.name. Come here to this dev details. Pass it here, and let's say private string username. The same way, I'm just going to get the value of password and environment as well. So here would be user.password. Let's say it is password. And the third one is environment.name. Okay. And let's say it is environment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this variable with the details that we have in this application.properties file. Okay. And yeah. Now I'm just going to create a method with the post construct. And let's say it is public void init, something like that. And what I'm going to do is simply I'm going to print out this username, password and the environment. Okay. So let's say getting the details of dev environment, okay, and let's say it is okay, let's say where, let me keep it the next line, where percent as, let's say where username is okay, and password is this, and environment is this. Okay. We're just going to remove this. Okay. So what I'm printing here is getting the details of dev environment, where we are printing out the username, password and the environment here. Okay. Let me try to pass those details here. So let's say username is this, password, and then environment. Okay. Why we are not getting the username? Just come up here. Okay, it is capital N in the name. Okay, so these details we are printing out here as a post construct. So when the active profile is dev, what it will do, it will try to fetch out the username, password and environment from the dev application.properties file. And then according to that, this application will work. So let's say you have developed this application, you put all the credentials related to the dev environment in your application-dev properties file. And now your your application profile is active as a dev. That means this will create, like it's this class dev details class bean will be created, and it will be registered to the application context, Spring context, and then it will it will fetch out the username, password, and the environments, all those details from this application -dev properties file, and you can use it throughout this application. So when the active profile is dev, this class will be active, its bean will be created, and you can use it throughout your application. As simple as that. Same thing we have to do for the prod and QA. So let me try to copy this whole thing and go to the prod details. Let me try to create as a component, and let's say it is profile, and here you have to provide the profile as a prod. And how we are selecting this out, this term is coming from this application properties file. So for dev we have -dev, that means you have to provide in the profile, you have to provide as a dev, and the same thing you have to provide as a for QA and prod. Okay, so the same thing I'm providing here in the profile name. Now let me try to paste the details here. So we have the same set of configuration in the dev, prod, and QA. So that is why this is working here. So if you go to the prod, you will find that we have the user.name, user.password, and environment, but the values are different, right? So that is why these things are working here. We can directly copy paste here. But again, let me try to change this logins that we are doing. So let's say it is prod, where username and all those things are there. Now just copy the same thing, go to the QA, and just paste it out. Just change this to the QA. And again, we have to annotate this class with @component annotation and profile as well. And here you have to provide the profile name. Let's say it is QA. So we are good. Now everything is good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you how you can select the active profile, how you can make one profile active. So for that, there are two different ways as of now I know. So one thing what you can do is you can directly go to this application properties file, which is your main application properties file, and here itself you can provide this configuration, which is string.profiles.active, and in that you have to put that particular profile which you want to make active. So let's say you want to make dev active, so you have to provide the dev and then simply run your application. Okay, there is something we are doing here. Let me try to go to this. Okay, so the thing that I missed here is I'm not printing out this logging or this things that we are logging here. So just let me try to print it out. So just print the str. The same code goes for the prod and QA as well. That is why we are not getting anything. So we are good. Now let me again run this application. The active profile for us is dev as of now, which is we have set here. Now you can see that in the logs we are getting the details of dev environment, where username is this, password is this, and environment is this. Okay, so for me the username is taking as my username of this laptop or this machine, so don't worry on that. The password and the environment is correctly coming up. So you can go to this application -dev properties, and you can say that the password is password dev and the environment is dev environment. That means it is selecting the particular active profile, and it is selecting that particular active profile, going to this dev details class, creating the bean of this particular class, and then printing it out, right? So if you go to the production, the same thing we are doing here. We are also printing the logs here in the production details class as well, but the bean of this class is not being created because the active profile is not prod. Okay, So whatever profile is active, it will only create the bin for that particular profile, and then those details are loaded, or you can say those details are active in the application at that time. So for that only, we are only printing the dev details, not the prod or not even QA. Now if you want to print the prod, what you can do is you can again go to your main application properties file, and here you have to provide the prod. Simple. You just run this application, and in the logs you will get those details. So here you can see the username is same again. Don't worry on that. Password is password prod. Environment is prod environment. Again, if you want to check for the QA, just select the QA here, run this application, and you will get the details of QA. So you can see that password QA and QA environment. So this is how @profile annotation works. So it will create the bin of that particular the active profile bin will be created only. Now let me try to give you another way how you can select the active profile. So the one way is you can go to your main application properties file. You can put this configuration, and then you have to provide that particular profile which you want to be active. Okay, this is the one way. Now let me try to remove this and again run this application. This time you won't get anything. So you can see in the logs you are not getting anything. Now what you have to do is you have to go to your edit configuration, and here you can see you will find the option of active profiles. Directly you can come here and provide the profile that you want to active. So let's say you want to active the profile prod. So just apply it out. Okay, and then run this application again, and then you see the magic. So you will see that the prod profile is active. So this is how @profile annotation works. Okay, and these are the way how you can make your profile active. The one way is using this annotation configuration, which is spring.profiles.active, and another way is using this edit configuration, where you will find the option of active profile, and you have to provide the profile that you want to active. So this is about @profile annotation. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and for more such information on the profiling, you can watch those 2 videos that I have provided in the description of this video. So this is about the video, guys. If you like the video, please hit the like button, and please subscribe the channel for more such content. Thanks.